In mid-2021, Emily and her colleague Kate were assigned to a project that required them to stay in a small city in upstate New York for 4 days. They decided to work from their hotel during their stay, and after searching through online reviews, they chose the Rashfort Inn, a hotel with a strategic location, reasonable prices, complete facilities, and most importantly, a co-working space they could use for their work. Upon check-in, Emily and Kate were assigned room 313 on the 3rd floor. The room layout was typical: a bathroom with a shower on the right side of the entrance, a hotel phone on a small table next to the bathroom, a double bed, a TV, and a sofa. One unique feature of the room was that one of the bathroom walls facing the bed was made of transparent glass with a roller blind that could be raised or lowered. When the blind was up, anyone in the bathroom could see into the bedroom and vice versa. After settling in, the women rested and began their work routine the next morning. For the first 2 days, everything went smoothly. They would wake up, shower, have breakfast, meet with clients, work in the co-working space, and return to their room around 9 p.m. But on the 3rd night, strange occurrences began to unfold. When they returned to their room after work, Emily immediately noticed something odd. The bathroom's roller blind was up, though she was certain they had left it down before leaving that morning. Emily thought to herself, "Who could have raised it? Kate was with me all day at the co-working space, and she showered first this morning. I was the last person in the bathroom, and I definitely wouldn't have left it open with Kate in the room." After a moment's consideration, she rationalized that housekeeping must have raised it while cleaning and forgotten to lower it again. Emily went into the bathroom, lowered the blind, freshened up, and without mentioning anything to Kate, encouraged her to start packing since it was their last night, and they had to check out by noon the next day. After finishing their packing around 11 p.m., both women went to bed, with Emily taking the side next to the phone and Kate sleeping closer to the balcony. Around 1 a.m., Emily suddenly woke up, startled by the sound of a dial tone coming from the hotel phone. Strangely, the handset was still in its cradle, yet the dial tone was ringing loudly as if someone had picked it up. Confused and half asleep, Emily tried to identify the source of the noise and realized it was indeed coming from the phone beside her. She found it bizarre that the phone was making a dial tone while the handset remained untouched. Emily wondered if she had accidentally bumped it in her sleep, though she knew that was unlikely. She picked up the handset to end the noise, then placed it back down. Just as she was about to fall back asleep, the dial tone started again, and the handset was still in its place. Before she could turn it off again, a woman's voice came through the phone as if on speaker. "Hello, good evening. This is reception. How may I assist you?" Emily felt a chill run down her spine at the sound of the receptionist's voice. It was flat, cold, and emotionless, lacking the professional warmth typical of hotel staff. After a moment of hesitation, Emily picked up the handset to speak directly with the woman. "Hello, good evening. This is Emily from room 313. This call seems to be coming from my room, but I've been asleep and didn't call anyone. I think the phone might be malfunctioning," she explained. In the same cold, flat tone, the receptionist replied, "I understand. We apologize for disturbing you. Please rest well." The call ended abruptly. Emily tried to wake Kate to tell her what had just happened, but Kate was in a deep sleep and wouldn't budge. "Kate, wake up!" Emily whispered urgently, shaking her friend, but to no avail. Before returning to sleep, Emily decided to use the bathroom. As she approached the bathroom, she realized that the roller blind was up again, though she clearly remembered lowering it earlier. She thought, "This is strange. I definitely closed this blind before going to bed. It couldn't have been housekeeping at this hour." As she entered the bathroom, still pondering this oddity, she looked through the glass wall into the bedroom. What she saw made her freeze. There was a woman lying on her bed, curled up with her back to the bathroom. The woman had long, thick hair. "Am I seeing things?" Emily squinted, trying to focus in the dimly lit room. Is that a blanket or a person? She looked again, and it was definitely a woman in the same position. Emily rushed out of the bathroom, but when she emerged, the woman had vanished. Kate! Kate! Wake up! She called again, but Kate remained deeply asleep. Too frightened to use the bathroom now, Emily returned to her bed, covered herself with the blanket, and began reciting prayers. Despite her fear, she noticed the room had become unnaturally cold, though the air conditioning was set to only 72 degrees Fahrenheit. It felt more like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. She pulled the blanket tighter around her body. As Emily tried to fall asleep again, she began hearing what sounded like multiple people talking, followed by footsteps that seemed deliberately heavy. The voices grew louder and more distinct, men and women chatting and laughing as if at a gathering, and loud music played in the background. This must be noise from the next room, Emily thought. How inconsiderate. It's 3 a.m. She tried nudging Kate awake again. Kate, wake up. How can you sleep through this noise? But Kate remained unresponsive. Emily decided to call the front desk to complain. This time, a male receptionist answered. Hello, good evening. This is reception. How may I help you? Emily was confused. Hadn't she just spoken to a female receptionist earlier? She quickly rationalized that there must be multiple staff working the night shift. Hello, this is Emily from room 313. I'd like to report that the guests in the room next to mine are being extremely noisy. I can't sleep. Could you please ask them to quiet down? It's already so late. Of course, ma'am. We'll check on the adjacent room and address your complaint. We apologize for the inconvenience, the man responded. Nearly an hour after her complaint, the noises persisted. Frustrated and exhausted, Emily decided to go to the lobby to speak with the receptionist directly. When she arrived, she saw 3 men at the reception desk. Excuse me, I'm Emily from room 313, she began. About an hour ago, I called to complain about the noise from the next room, but it's still continuing. Has someone addressed this issue? One of the men replied, Ma'am, we did receive your complaint and checked the room you mentioned, room 312. However, that room is currently vacant. There are no guests staying there, so the noise couldn't be coming from that room. That's impossible, Emily protested. I can clearly hear people talking, laughing, and walking around in there. My friend heard it too. Please check again. Ma'am, we've already verified. The room is definitely empty, he insisted. And the hotel rooms are soundproofed, so it's unlikely you'd hear noise from another floor either. Emily realized he had a point about the soundproofing. During their stay, they'd never heard noise from other rooms, which made the current situation even more perplexing. Rather than arguing further, she decided to return to her room. On her way back, she passed room 312 and pressed her ear against the door, wanting to verify for herself whether there was anyone inside. After listening for several minutes, she heard nothing, complete silence. Maybe I was wrong, she thought. But as soon as Emily re-entered her own room and closed the door, the sounds of people talking, laughing, footsteps, and loud music returned. This time, she tried to make out what they were saying, but oddly, despite the volume, their words were incomprehensible. Not knowing what else to do, Emily returned to bed and pulled the blanket over her entire body, covering her ears in an attempt to block out the noise. But the sounds only grew louder, until it seemed as if they were coming from inside her own room rather than next door. When Emily cautiously peeked out from under her blanket, she saw children, a boy and a girl about 5 years old, running from the balcony to the bathroom and disappearing. The girl wore a pink party dress, and the boy was in a white button-up shirt. They seemed to be playing chase. Terrified, Emily ducked back under the covers, reciting prayers. After a few minutes, when she felt calmer, she looked out again, hoping she had imagined the children. Instead, what she saw was even more horrifying. The entire room was filled with people of all ages, men and women, adults and children, as if a family gathering was taking place in their hotel room. Among them, an elderly man sat on the sofa, smiling directly at her. Emily immediately retreated under the covers, praying fervently. Strangely, as she prayed, an overwhelming sense of drowsiness came over her. Despite her fear and the bizarre circumstances, Emily found herself falling into a deep sleep. The next morning, Emily immediately told Kate everything that had happened. "Kate, you were completely unconscious. I tried to wake you several times. The phone rang mysteriously. I spoke to a female receptionist with a strange voice. There was loud noise from the supposedly empty next room, and I saw people, including an old man and children, in our room." Kate looked at her in disbelief. "Really? I didn't hear anything. I slept like a rock. Are you sure you weren't dreaming?" "It wasn't a dream," Emily insisted. "I even went downstairs to complain about the noise. Ask at the front desk if you don't believe me." As they were checking out, Emily decided to investigate further. She asked the morning receptionist, who was a woman, "Excuse me, could you check if there was a phone call from my room to reception last night around 1:30 a.m.? I was in room 313. After checking the system, the receptionist confirmed, "Yes, ma'am, there was a call from room 313 to reception at 3:05 a.m. "Just one call?" Emily asked. "What about earlier calls?" "I made at least 3. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but our system only shows one call at 3:05 a.m. I double-checked, and that's the only record we have. Also, all the receptionists on duty last night were men. We didn't have any female staff at the front desk." Emily was stunned. "That's impossible. I spoke to a female receptionist earlier in the night." The receptionist called over other hotel staff, who all confirmed that only male receptionists had been working the previous night. Emily was baffled but decided not to pursue the matter further. They completed their checkout and went to the co-working space to finish their remaining tasks before leaving. Around 2 p.m., Emily excused herself to use the bathroom in the hotel lobby. All 4 stalls were empty, so she entered the first one. After finishing, just as she was about to open the stall door, she sensed that the atmosphere in the bathroom had changed. It suddenly felt crowded, as if several people were gathered by the sinks. When she opened the door, Emily was horrified to see multiple ghostly white-shrouded figures lined up from the sinks to the exit door. In broad daylight, at 2 p.m., she was staring at what appeared to be ghosts. She immediately locked herself back in the stall and tried to call Kate, but her phone had no signal or data connection. She managed to call using her cellular service, though her words were jumbled with panic. "Kate! Kate! Help! There are, in the bathroom. Please come." Kate rushed to the bathroom and knocked on Emily's stall. "Emily! Emily! I'm here! Open up!" When Emily finally opened the door, the bathroom was empty, no ghosts in sight. "They were just here," she insisted, trembling. Lined up from the sinks to the door. As they exited the bathroom and Emily was still explaining what she had seen, Kate's phone suddenly rang with a WhatsApp call. When Kate looked at the screen, her face went pale. The call was showing as coming from Emily, who was standing right beside her, holding her own phone which had no data connection. Both women stared at the phone in terror, letting it ring until it stopped by itself. Without another word, they gathered their belongings and left the hotel immediately. To this day, Emily and Kate still don't know why they experienced so many frightening incidents at the Rashfort Inn. Emily doesn't know who the female receptionist on the phone was, or who the apparitions in their room were. They've chosen not to investigate further, grateful simply to have left the hotel safely. Interestingly, since that experience, Emily has had other supernatural encounters whenever she stays at hotels, even different ones. She's seen women pacing outside bathroom doors and been followed by female figures in elevators. It seems that whatever connection was established that night at the Rashfort Inn has followed her, opening her perception to the supernatural world that exists alongside our own.